Welcome to the show. Can you imagine learning how to play the acoustic guitar by one of the best? As you can see, my next author, Pauric is really a legend, and he's very humble. He doesn't like to be the star. He says his thousands of students are the star, but he wrote the book, How to Play Acoustic Guitar. Pauric, so glad that you're here. And I love the fact that you're just embracing your guitar.
I love the guitar, Suzanne. It's with me 24/7, 366.
Is that right?
Yes,
Well
yes.
well, let's start off doing something a little different. Let's have you just let's get set the tone, no pun intended, for the interview and just maybe a couple chords, maybe a little motivational tune.
For some of the adults I've just been working with who are in high pressure jobs, learning guitar, just it's such a gift for them to be able to maybe do a little bit of slow meditation music. And as you can see, I'm not doing a whole lot on the guitar there. I'm just a few little 2 or 3 chords, that's all.
It's beautiful.
Yes,
Absolutely beautiful.
you don't have to do all of this to enjoy the guitar.
When did you start to love guitar? What's your story?
I started playing music when I was 7, but I didn't get into guitar until I was 15. I had tried piano and piano accordion particularly, but the sound of the acoustic guitar used to melt me. And when I was 15, I decided I'd learn it. So I went to someone to teach me. And
Did it come naturally?
No, I gave up. I failed completely, Suzanne. It wasn't my fault. It's just the actual person teaching me wasn't a guitar teacher at all. He was a great guitar player, knew a lot about guitar, a lot about music.
He could do it, he couldn't teach it. What makes you different being able to teach it?
There was a very, very famous group in Ireland called the Fury Brothers, and the Finbar in particular and his brother George were so good to me and helped me and saw that there was definitely music in me. And when they were in off their big tours, they would help me, and I got better and better. So once I got it, I made a deal with God that I would always set time aside to help other people play, because to this day, no later than yesterday, I met someone who had the same experience. They tried to learn, didn't get it, and it wasn't their fault at all. There's so many people out there that are very good guitar players, know so much about it, and know little or nothing about how to actually teach the guitar to somebody.
So now I've got 2 things I need to ask you about. First of all, not giving up. I can see why that sign is in the back. Be strong, do not give up, because you talked about your failure and how you didn't give up, and it paid off.
Absolutely. And to learn anything right is going to take time. The guitar is easy when you know how to play it. Like I made it look very easy there. I can just hit chords there without even thinking. You can hear how easy that is for me. Be strong, do not give up is a verse from the Bible. You'll see behind me on the wall.
So faith is an important part of you.
Totally. All my work is Bible-based. Whether I teach, how I write, I do my utmost to keep it as consistent with the Bible as possible. And I had my dark days in life, my young life, live music, alcohol, but the alcohol took over. Everything was tried. I actually was a very bad case. And as a last resort, we handed it over to God. And from that point on,
Amen.
that was 20 and a half years ago, but I haven't taken a drink since. And the compulsions were removed as well, which is the real part. Very few people talk about that. I haven't had a compulsion to drink since I handed it over to God. Through that, then I decided to hand my music and my teaching and my writing over to God, and He has opened doors that I could never open. So I don't take credit for any of this, Suzanne, at all. My way didn't actually work. It did work when it came to playing live music. Yes, it did work. And it came to when teaching music, but it hurt me in terms of my writing and the work I do now. I give Him credit for the success.
Oh, I love that. How many of us can say, yeah, we tried to do it our way. How'd that work for you? Not so good. I understand. The other thing I wanted to point out is your style is very different, very radical. Can you kind of share how you're so different?
Yes, Suzanne. I wanted to be a teacher particularly, but was no good in school. So I had to kind of make up my own ways then, and I became an original as a result of that. I was always outside the system, so I don't know what it's like to have secure jobs. I don't know what 9 to 5 is like, but that rubs off in your music. As you'll see when I'm playing a guitar, I don't really move a lot on guitar. My students are very successful because we spend the early weeks keeping things very simple. It gets interesting then because they have these very nice sounds coming from their guitar, and their chord changing is technically very clean and tidy.
So how long would you say it takes for someone to play the guitar, just to be able to go from 0 to I can jam for basic stuff like, Mary Had a Little Lamb? I don't know.
No, that's one of the mistakes of guitar teaching. You can go in with big songs from the start. It's a teacher's responsibility to keep it in.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just bring up a Bob Marley number if I can, and you will
Okay.
see that we can play the song with just 2 chords.
Okay.
It's a bit of reggae music. Just 2 chords, Suzanne.
Wow. That's really fun. That actually gives me hope that I could do it. The other thing that's so fascinating is that you are the most translated guitar author in the world.
That's
You
right.
have books available in 12 different languages.
As Ireland became more of an international country in the last 20 years, I remember a couple of Chinese students and particularly a couple of Danish students. I remember a man from Nigeria, and all their local songs came back to this G and this C and this D and this E minor. We just did a Bob Marley number, but I could have shown you a Beatles number, or I could have shown you a number by Phil Collins, or I could have shown you a number by the Eagles with 3 chords or even 2 chords. It suddenly dawned on me that this was about how your fingers move on the guitar. If you get that, you can pick and choose any nationality you want or any type of music anywhere in the world, whether it's gospel music or rock music. The skills are the very same.
And the basics are the same. Mm-hmm.
Yes, your technical ability is the very same. I know some of the audience listening to us right now have started learning guitar in the last few months. And if I could give you 2 things to help you with your guitar playing, if you're one of those people who's just started, just go online and look for guitar songs with 2 chords and just get an easy strum pattern, something like this, down, down, that, and put that with your 2 chords, and you will start playing some decent songs to get you off the ground. Sweet Home Alabama mostly has 3 chords, D, C, and G, that's all, and it's a very well-known song. And the second thing I would say, if you could use your finger tips, beginners have this thing called collapsing knuckles, and if they use the fingertips, that puts that in place, and it actually gets their hand into this very good position to play their Ds and their Cs. Otherwise, they're all in like this, and there's no room for their hand to work. It doesn't matter what style of music you're learning or wherever you are in the world right now. I can promise you, if you use your fingertips for the chords you've been learning, and if you go online and look for a couple of guitar songs with 2 chords, like Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles,
you'll be able to just pick up and jam around a campfire very easily.
Yes.
Pauric, why do you think people give up so quickly when they, maybe it's taking guitar lessons and it wasn't a good fit with the coach, or they just why do they give up, and what are you doing differently that keeps them finding success?
The success rate online is so low, particularly with adults. Adult beginners seem to have been forgotten, even though there is so-called adult courses. The main reason I see adults giving up is because they want to learn the acoustic guitar and they're transitioned into learning music theory like quartets and quavers and guitar tablature. The best musicians I worked with knew nothing about music theory. I actually wrote a songbook for a famous artist years ago, and we were 3 songs in. I wanted to make sure we were on the right road. And when I sat down with him, he said, "There's no point showing me. I actually don't know anything about this." And he had written some amazing songs, big hits. I drove from the house that night. I said, "That's it. All my music books, I'm taking out all the music theory. All my teaching, I'm taking out all the music theory. There's actually no music in my books at all. It's just simple words and a lot of imagery. Move your hand here, there, keep your triangular shape, keep your space, keep your thumb in this good position here." It's very simple. It's just words and images. And I can tell you from years of guitar teaching that your fingers respond to imagery far quicker than this English that I'm talking here. We have almost a 100% success rate because there's none of that. It's just straight into actually playing the guitar, straight into songs there. So that's one of the reasons I'm so different, Suzanne. Yes.
That's great. Pauric, thank you so much for joining us. Pauric Mather is a book trail author with the book called How to Play Acoustic Guitar. Pauric, you're just a joy. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise and for your humbleness. And just this was just amazing. Thank you so much. And how can people get a hold of you and your book?
Any Amazon site worldwide, from Australia to America to Canada, any language, Chinese, Spanish, Portuguese,
Wow, that's
Italian,
awesome.
German, French, Brazilian Portuguese. There's others. I can't remember them, Suzanne. There's so
All
many.
over. That's
And
right.
I'm
And
just
of course, Book Trail. You can go to Book Trail to get your book as well.
Book Trail Agency. Yes,
Yes,
they have
yes.
been so good to me. They're based in New York. They opened doors that I could
Yeah.
never have opened, Suzanne. I'm very
Well,
grateful. And to yourself,
Pauric,
thank you for having me. It's been a real privilege.
it's been a joy speaking with you too. I'm sure we'll talk again. Have a great day.
Thank you.